Good morning. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., an alternative parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard.
Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today we have another exciting guest like we always have in this podcast. His name is Omba Kipuki, and he's running for office with the Libertarian Party. So welcome to the podcast, Omba.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
We're glad to have you. Let's get started by you kindly giving us an introduction to yourself, a brief biographical sketch.
Yes, absolutely. So, again, the name is Omba. I'm a native Congolese. My entire family was born in the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, came to the U.S. As a political asylee, and then moved to Georgia. I was raised in Georgia, and then found myself in California. Mom's side of the family also moved out here, so followed them shortly after. And looked at the U.S. military from out of California. I did 4 years as a chemical bio, radiological nuclear specialist. I did one tour in South Korea, and I just came out of active duty this past July. So, so I've been blessed and fortunate to just kind of get a taste of the world, just see different places and experience different things, and it's kind of just the theme of my campaign is really just, affording that liberty and choice and opportunity to the American people and the constituents I would be serving, and trying to go forth with policy that makes sense for them.
Sounds good. It does sound like you have a lot of experience, indeed. So kindly tell us how you got involved in the Libertarian Party in the first place.
Right. So I've always considered myself a pretty moderate individual. I really try to find, principled, objectivity when it comes to just rational policy. So I actually voted for Barack Obama, President Obama, twice. The first time I did it willingly. I mean, it was a historical campaign,
Sure.
Candidate, but his message resonated with me. I think it resonated with a lot of people. His second term, I voted for him reluctantly. It was a very last-minute vote. And so I went out there and I voted. And then around 2015, I registered as a Republican. Just again, just the way the country was going, where the country was going, and the message of President Trump really resonated with me as well. Just the policy, I consider myself fiscally conservative in the sense of how the country spends their money. And the reason why is because if I was a taxpayer, at the end of the day, he's going to have to foot the bill. And so, anytime we have, a lot of funding going out to different places for different things and projects, sometimes, under the table, and then the American people still footing the bill for it. So I agree with a lot of President Trump's messaging around, reducing spending, reducing the bureaucracy, X, Y, and Z. After the Trump presidency, I again, did some reevaluating, mainly in part because while the policy, some of his policy resonated with me, the culture of the politics itself was just not something I could really get behind and sell. It just wasn't conducive to a platform that I want for myself in governing. So with the Libertarian Party, I've actually had a few stints with them. I've reached out to them before the military, during the military. I just never really actually made the official move. And so when I was thinking about the policy I wanted and I was thinking about the Libertarian platform, it made more sense for me with their platform to go ahead and get behind, because they leave enough room to grow politically. I think that when you have either Democrats, you see the very concrete black or white, this is how it's going to be. With the Republicans, this is how it's going to be. For me, Libertarian platform it's broad enough and it leaves enough room and wiggle room for debate and conversation, and that's what resonates with me the most now.
Sounds good. So kindly tell our audience what race you're running for.
So I'm running for Congressional District 6 out of California for the U.S. House of Representatives.
Can you tell us what that district is like, where it represents, and what the demographics are?
Absolutely. So District 6 is, it was actually just redrawn. So Ami Berra initially ran for, I say his name, Congressman Berra. Excuse me, I say his name because he is the incumbent for the district. But so Ami Berra, he was running District 7, and District 6 was occupied or represented, if you will, by Congressman Doris Matsui. So they did a change, and so now Congressman Berra represents the district. So it is pretty much I consider a pocket area of Sacramento. It represents, so a big hub is West Sacramento, so the Natomas area, and then the southern eastern region is more so you have the kind of like the Elk Grove area there, and then you have the North Highlands and the Northeast area. So it's actually pretty diverse demographic. It's rich with minorities, which I like. I think that they're still well underrepresented, albeit that Sacramento has done a great job with affording various resources for various demographics up and down the city lines and county lines. But I think there's still a lot of room for improvement, especially when it comes to like the public school system and the transit system, things of that nature. Parks, the homeless situation, which I consider a crisis in Sacramento. But so it definitely covers a lot of ground. It's not as suburban, if you will, as at least a big chunk of it is not as suburban as what District 7 is, which is, again, pretty, I believe, more socioeconomically advantaged than District 6 would be. So I look forward to really getting out there and campaigning, getting to meet these folks up and down, get various, again, socioeconomic advantages and disadvantages, and working on that platform with them.
Sounds like a plan. So kindly tell our audience what your platform for this race entails.
So my platform, again, the theme is affording more choice and opportunity. That's really what it boils down to for me. How can I afford my constituents the most choice to gain them the most opportunity within the confines of sensibility and safety? You know, when I think about policy, I ask myself, a couple of things. Again, trying to minimize the tribalistic behavior or nature, if you will, of just a polarized society today. Whether it be around, women's right to choose or, freedom of marriage. When I think about these social issues that have really impacted our society, I always ask myself, especially, I'm a national security guy, right? You'll notice on my platform that a lot of the platform is built around, some sort of safety theme or some sort of national security, contingency. That's why national security is my first bullet point, on my website. But so when I think about social issues, I ask myself, one, does this person's choice or how they exercise this choice, does it jeopardize safety and security for themselves or for the general public, and is it an imminent threat to any of those things? And if the answer is no, then I don't think it is business of the government to try to subject themselves or inject themselves within that process of that person's choice. So I really try to rationalize, again, sensible policy that is important to my constituents, but that can also move people forward and not limit them and bind them to some sort of social, bureaucracy because other people or their tribalistic factions deem it as acceptable. So yeah, So everything from, national security, expanding education, nonprofit pharmaceutical exemptions, immigration reform, human trafficking, foreign affairs, veteran affairs, and the environment. But I also do not want to go down, or go through this revolving door with most politicians. They'll tell you, we need to, reform our immigration. And they've been saying this for decades. And then you ask them, they say, oh yeah, we really need border security. What does that look like, Congressman? All my points on my platform, I give you how I intend to get it done. We need fixes. We don't need, soliloquies. We don't need cliche. Yeah, we need more jobs. I don't even talk about jobs on my platform. I don't talk about, I'm really not touching jobs or like healthcare, very big complex issues, because there are 435 members of Congress, okay, and 535 if you add the Senate, right? And so with that, I understand that these have been talking points, again, for decades. I need something that if I go into Congress, when I'm elected, what can I fix? What can I gain the most traction with for my constituents in the least amount of time? And so that's why I go through these bullet points. So when I talk about immigration, for example, I say, yes, of course we need border security, but of course we have to be empathetic to people with legitimate asylum cases. So how do we get this done? I give the example of the Merida Initiative, okay, which was expanded to the Mexican government to give them resources, for their law enforcement apparatus and capacity, with technology and training, so they can help fight their local issues. And I say now we should expand it to more Latin American countries like El Salvador, and a lot of these, some American regions and countries that have been where they have the most exodus of people coming from their countries and making the trek up to the border. So if we can expand this initiative to those countries as well and really help localize their response contingencies to really help their people on a national security level, then I think that it helps both sides of the border.
Sounds good. So you would say that you're more specific on your platform than other people who are giving forth nothing but platitudes.
Absolutely. You have to be specific.
Excellent. We need more of that. So kindly tell our audience what your campaign strategy is. How do you plan to reach the voters in your district?
Well, unfortunately, the game is all about money. And, the more money you have, at least theoretically, the more money you have, the more reach and the more influence. I don't like that. I think that I would rather see, public campaign funding. I'd rather see, a repeal of Citizens United, because it's you have a lot of dark money that can make its way into the political races and campaigns. I think it really disadvantages, not only new candidates but even third parties. For instance, California has a top two voter system. They've been using this system for about a decade now, otherwise known as a jungle primary, right? And so basically, for those who don't know what it is, no longer is there going to be a primary for individual parties, right? So now everyone runs within the same primary, whether it be, Democrat, Republican, Green Party, Libertarian, X, Y, and Z. The top two voters make it to the general election. So you could have two Democrats, two Republicans, two Libertarians. It's just the top two. So in theory, you could argue that it makes sense because it kind of evens it out. I would almost equate it to like ranked choice voting, limited edition, if you will. But so in theory, it should work, and it should be an advantage to people. So you don't have such just these ridiculous, expensive party primaries, and you start to marginalize people. But unfortunately, with this system, it still greatly disadvantages third parties, because for the past 10 years, it's always been Democrat and Republican. to advance up. Now granted, albeit a Libertarian did not run for Congress the last election cycle. I've noticed that they typically run for lower races, local races. So my strategy for campaigning is, as you'll notice, we're doing this well early. We just started 2023. Some folks, who do start with a lot of money, in their war chest, they'll start maybe 2024. I mean, they'll announce early, but they won't start campaigning until 2024. A few months before the primaries. We have to get a jump start early, and that's because number one, not many people, are going to know who I am, and so I have to get out there, mobilize, and just meet people. You just really got to be on the ground and meeting folks. I really believe in the power of grassroots operations. I believe that when you localize your strategy, you empower the people around you to help elevate your platform. I really do believe that. And so we're going to have to go out there and meet people, but we're going to have to raise money. It's just what it's going to come down to. We're going to have to raise money. The Libertarian Convention will be next month in Sacramento. So Justin Amash, I hear Congressman Amash is going to be there. Presidential nominee Mike Cohen is going to be there. And I spoke to the chairwoman of the Libertarian Party about a week ago, and she definitely suggested I go there and network. So, but that's what it's going to come down to, and that's going to be my gauge for me. That's the kind of the gauge for the campaign. How much traction can we make? What kind of relationships can we foster? Starting at that convention, and how realistic can we raise the money that we're going to need to even get in the game, right? And so that's strategy number one: raising money, networking. Strategy number two is, and to me, it's a very important piece, is the alliances that we make, right? So who can I get to support us from both major parties, whether it be Democrats or Republicans? The reason why I say there's an incentive for them to do so is because, as you know, when elected, I would have to caucus with a party, right? I would have to, for instance, Justin Amash, Congressman Amash, he caucuses with the Republican Party, right? And so Bernie Sanders, he caucuses with the Democrats, right? Kristen Sinema just, changed her party affiliation to independent, but she is going to continue to caucus with the Democrats. So essentially, someone would still theoretically could still get to get an extra seat, right, within their caucus. And so there is an incentive. So I would hope that there are folks, on both sides of the aisle that would say, hey, you know what? His platform is moderate. His platform leaves room for debate and discussion, and we could use this moderate voice within our caucus. And whomever is willing to make that concession, I think, will also help this not only the fundraising efforts, but also getting our platform known out there.
Sure. Sounds like good strategies. So kindly tell our audience how they can support your campaign.
Absolutely. So we do have a website currently up. It's kapuke24.com. And that's just the best way to start. You have an opportunity to contribute, campaign donations, and I tell folks, just keep looking out, on the webpage, because there'll be events posted soon. I'm trying to do at least one meet and greet, or even a town hall, if you will, at least once a month at the very least.
Sure.
As we get closer to 24, we'll add more to it. But I definitely, again, just want to be able to just meet folks, maybe have some coffee and talk to people, and just really share and be transparent about my platform. So you can go to the website for now, and as this thing moves forward, as we get more funding, then we'll go, full social media heavy. So that's a good place to start.
All right. Sounds good. So we thank you for coming on the podcast today and talking about your campaign.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing. We wish you all the best in your campaign and all your other personal and professional endeavors. All right, take care and all the best.